Let's be honest. Watching Chicago Fire is an exercise in anxiety. We sign up for it. We love the rush, the heroism, and the family of Firehouse 51. But with that love comes a whole lot of fear. And let's be real. In the entire One Chicago universe, is there anyone we've collectively worried about more than Stella Kidd? When you love a character this much, you feel every close call. Every time she straps on that mask and walks into an inferno, we're all holding our breath. So, when the online whispers start, our hearts jump. We see the frantic fan theories, the fearful questions. What happened to Stella? Is Stella Kidd leaving the show? And even the one that makes our stomachs drop. The dreaded cancer question. Let's just get this out of the way, because it's the fear that binds all of us fans together. No, Stella Kidd has not had a cancer storyline. But the reason that fear feels so real, so plausible, is because Chicago Fire has put Stella through the ringer in ways that are almost worse. They've given her, and us, just about every other kind of scare imaginable. The injuries, the hospital stays, the emotional trauma, it all stems from the same terrifying truth. Her job is actively trying to kill her. The fear of a long-term illness like cancer isn't about a specific plot point we've seen. It's the fear we all have for these characters. It's the logical, terrifying conclusion of a career spent breathing in smoke, chemicals, and tragedy. But what actually happened? The canonical, on-screen moments that had us throwing remote control-shaped objects at our TVs was a masterclass in emotional devastation. The call that almost took her lung. Do you remember the crossover? The one that still gives me nightmares. It wasn't a fire. It wasn't an explosion, not at first. It was something quieter, more sinister. It was a call involving toxic, hazardous materials. We've seen these calls before, but this one felt different. When Stella was exposed, she did what she always does. She brushed it off, stayed tough, and kept moving for the victim. But the poison was already in. The real terror didn't set in on the fire episode. It was the crossover into Chicago Med that truly broke us. This is where the illness fear really took root. Stella wasn't just wheeled into the ED with a broken bone or a burn. She was rushed in, struggling for breath. The doctors, our med family, were using terrifying words. Chemical exposure, severe complications, and then the one that stopped us cold. The threat of losing her lung. A firefighter losing a lung. It's not just a life-altering injury. It's the end of a life identity. It's the end of her career, the end of her purpose, the end of the Stella Kidd we know. The episode was a blur of frantic doctors, sterile hospital rooms, and the agonizingly slow beeps of machines that were breathing for her. It was a stark, cold reminder that the biggest dangers aren't always the flames. Sometimes, it's the air itself. And through it all, we had to watch Kelly severate. The agony of the waiting room. If you want to know how much danger a character is really in, don't watch the patient. Watch Severide. His panic is our panic. When Stella is in that hospital bed, Severide completely unravels. The tough as nails, unshakable squad leader just disappears. He becomes a terrified husband, vibrating with a level of helplessness that is almost too painful to watch. He paces the waiting room. He glares at doctors, demanding answers they don't have. He's short-tempered with the 51 family who are all standing there, just as broken, watching their two leaders fall apart. That's the emotional gut punch of Chicago Fire. They don't just show us the rescue. They show us the cost. When Stella finally made it through, we all took our first real breath right alongside Severide. She fought her way back, as she always does. But the scar wasn't just on her body. It was on us, the audience. We were reminded, in the most brutal way, just how fragile she is. It's never just one thing. You'd think, after nearly losing a lung to a chemical bath, the writers would give her a break. Right? Wrong. It wasn't just the toxic gas. There was the explosion, the one that sent shrapnel ripping through her abdomen. Another hospital stay. Another frantic separate. Another moment where we all wondered, is this the one? Is this how it ends? And then, as if the physical trauma wasn't enough, they gave Stella ride the most personal, devastating blow of all, the miscarriage. This was a different kind of hospital visit. It wasn't sirens and flashing lights. It was quiet, sterile, and profoundly, deeply sad. It was a storyline that took this powerhouse of a character, this leader, this pillar of strength, and brought her to her knees in a way no five-alarm fire ever could. It was relational. It was emotional. And for millions of viewers, it was painfully, agonizingly relatable. So, why do we keep worrying?